Guys and girls, I want to say I'm excited about this. I know everybody has enjoyed the Drag and Drive news, and don't worry, it is staying. But I do want to tell you, I love the rawness of a conversation with someone. I love being in person, obviously. So we're going to focus on a lot of that this year or this coming year as well. I'm already thinking about 2023. So we're going to do a lot of in-person stuff. I'm going to drive around. I intend to put 20 something thousand miles on my little vehicle this year, driving to obviously drag and drive events, but also to drag and drive racers, shops, houses, wherever they may be. I'm going to go find you guys. I'm telling you, I'm going to be out and about. So get ready, be ready to hear from me, and let's have a conversation. Let's tell the world about Drag and Drive, and let's take it mainstream. That is what this entire channel is about. I want to tell you the Drag and Drive show, which is what you are watching right now. This is technically episode 0. I'll go back and change the name later. This is more of a figure everything out as we go. I wanted to kind of mess with some features. So there may be some parts in this where I may pop away and Eric LSX Swaps, 815 LSX Swaps may pop on for a few minutes and by himself. And we're going to pop back and forth. It's going to be some fun. I will tell you, Eric spent the few days with us at PRI. He is not the same person as he went into PRI, as I promised. And then Jay Blanchard is coming on in about an hour to discuss co-pilot for Drag and Drive events. Him and Brian Acton race an 850 Nova, which, if you don't know, the 850 class is my favorite class by far. Street race, small block power adder, or street race, big block power adder. I love all of that stuff. I truly believe an 850 street car is the epitome of what we live for, because you can jump in that car. Anybody can jump in an 850 car and cruise it down to get ice cream, take it to do burnouts. You can throw the keys to that car typically to your wife or spouse, and they can jump in and cruise it everywhere. So again, welcome to the Drag and Drive show. This is episode 0. So again, we are going to have some fun. I see some folks are already jumping in the comments. My plan for this, so I do not squirrel away the entire time in the comment section of this, please make your comments, but I'm going to try and limit my conversations in the comments, and we will go back to those every 5, 10, 15 minutes, something like that, as we kind of end a conversation or a topic. So today's episode is about PRI and our adventure at 2022 show. Guys, there was all kinds of stuff. I was actually working Friday. I was there. I was off work Thursday all day, ran around like a madman. I think I actually probably had 26 or 7,000 steps. I know that Eric had 27, 28, 29,000 steps. He's going to tell us here in a few minutes. And then my little brother, Steven, had at least that many steps as well. We saw every booth in the facility. We talked to at least half of the people in the facility. So PRI, I'm telling you, will change your life. It is going to change ours. It is going to change Drag and Drive's life forever, because everyone was talking about Drag and Drive. Everyone was talking about Drag and Drive cars. Everyone was talking about Drag and Drive events, which there are a lot beginning to pop up, which I love, and we'll talk about those as well, probably as Eric and Jay are both on. I can't wait to just go over all the stuff that's happened. Now, we will cover PRI this week. We will also talk about PRI next week. There are 2 other guests that I was wanting to have on that they just could not make this week work because they were out of town last weekend. So hopefully they can be on next week. Lots of great stories, I'm telling you, that came from PRI. If you have not been, you need to go. If you need a way to get in, if you are not directly involved in the automotive industry, reach out to me. I'm sure we can get some media passes for a lot of people, and just need some help with gathering content, which is what we want to do and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, guys, let's jump into it. Let's bring Eric on. Let him let's talk PRI, and then let's talk, obviously, what it takes to be a YouTuber at PRI. So let's bring him on. Let him tell a little bit about his story. What is up, dude? Hey, are you back to sleeping normal? Or does your wife snore as loud as I do?
I sleep good. I don't have any issues there. Of course, I didn't have to share a bed, so I kind of felt bad for you guys.
No, that's okay. Me and Steven have slept in the same bed for a long time. That's the way it works. When you're little kids and now as adults, we just know where everybody sleeps and stays away and on top of the covers and under the covers and all that stuff. So, dude, let's talk about it. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you're working on right now with some pretty interesting stuff with YouTube, and then all that.
So 815 LSX swaps on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. 815 LSX Talk podcast on all podcast streaming platforms. We did media coverage at PRI. We've built a 240SX with an LS, working on finishing twin turbo LS Fox body. We did Dan's twin turbo LS BMW. We did an LS El Camino. We drove down to your neck of the woods and did an LS Volvo. So we've been all over the place just doing LS stuff. But I will say a lot of people get hung up on LS. I'm a car guy from the bottom of my heart, so it doesn't matter what I'm working on. Just happens to be LS is what I like the most, but I'll wrench on anything and I'll appreciate anybody's build, no matter what it is.
Well, and that's one of the biggest things about PRI too is like we were able to look at, I mean, tons of stuff. Dude, have you seen the picture of the four cylinder with the LS head on it? Like,
Yeah,
I'm tired of seeing that picture. Are you tired of seeing that picture? I'm tired of seeing that picture.
it's cool. I'm interested in it though. It's
Yeah.
it's something that I don't think they expected it to get that much
Mm-mm.
visibility either, but it was pretty cool.
Yep, 3.6 liter four cylinder with a LS head, and then you could also do like small block Ford head. There was some other kind of head you could put on. It was pretty wild. Let's talk about, because this is your second year in a row.
Hmm.
So you were featured in an article written by someone for the PRI magazine.
Yep, Bradley
Talk about
Geiger.
yeah, talk about your tips that you gave in that, and then tell everybody if you did those tips or not.
So a couple things that I said was plan out your event. So I definitely planned out, certain seminars that I wanted to go to. We planned that out. Bring backpack because there's all kinds of swag. I brought a backpack, so that wasn't a big deal. The last one is where I kind of failed. Bring comfy shoes. So I got these new kind of knockoff Hey Dudes. They did not do the trick for all the walking we were doing. I was
Yeah,
hurting.
yeah, that's for sure. How many steps did you take? I think it was like 29.6 or something like that for your first day.
I don't remember the exact number, but
It's
it was
crazy.
definitely in the high 20s.
Yep. Now, here's what you guys don't know too, and you may have watched some of the videos, but we didn't get in until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and so we didn't have room keys to the room. So Eric had to let us in, which means we woke him up, of course. But so we're going on about 3 hours of sleep, then hit the floor. I mean, as hard as we could
So
all day
let's
Thursday.
let's talk about that first day. So you guys got in Wednesday night or Thursday morning. We all got up at 6 a.m. 7 o'clock we hit the opening ceremony and the breakfast with Tony Stewart.
Yeah,
That
there
ended
were
at
literally 1,500 people in the line for breakfast.
yeah.
It
So
it
that got
wrapped around the
over
corner and all the way down the hallway. We were like, "Oh man, we're never getting in here."
right. So that got over what a little after 9,
Yep.
and then we hit the floor until what was it,
Uh,
4, 5?
yeah, right at 5 down. I think at one point you and Stephen both took your bags back to the room that was full of catalogs and swag and stuff like that. And then yeah, I think we stayed right until 5. I think it was they weren't kicking us out, but I think we were there all the way to the end.
So then, yeah, I unloaded my camera, stuff like that onto the laptop. But then 5 o'clock started the PRI happy hour, which was
Yeah,
then at Lucas Oil Stadium, which we can talk about how much walking it was to get to the show floor from the hotel to Lucas
man,
Oil. But
it had to be at least. Do you think it was a half mile to get to the show floor?
so let's think about this. We walked out of our room, we
Yeah,
hit the elevator down to the first floor, around the corner, what to another set of elevators,
yeah,
and then up to the skywalk, and then across the skywalk, and then at least a couple turns before we even hit the escalator to go down. Yeah, I
yeah.
bet it was.
It had to be, man, and we made that trip at least twice round trip every day.
Yeah,
At least, I mean, sometimes 3 times.
yeah, because I went to the room at least once a day during the show just to unload my camera, get everything backed up on my hard drive before I went back down. And then
Yep,
Lucas Oil Stadium for happy hour was on the other side of where
yep,
our hotel room was.
yep. Yeah, it
So
was
yeah,
pretty
so
wild.
so 5 to 7 we went over there. We got to hang out, meet a couple people there, and then
Yep.
after that, then we still had the Drag Illustrated after party.
Yeah.
So talking about a couple hours of sleep, and we didn't get back to the hotel till 10:30-ish
Mm,
at night.
something like that. It was pretty wild. It was a long day, and that really wiped me out. So that's something I will advise to folks is do not um, push as hard day one as maybe we did. We really should have went back and taken a nap, or I should at least have went back and taken a nap for a couple hours to just get my legs back underneath me. Because at the end of the Lucas Oil Stadium thing, I was wiped out, absolutely wiped out. And so we left the stadium, I think right at 7, right? And the Drag Illustrated party didn't you couldn't get in until 8. So we had
Yep.
an hour. So we sneak over to like the spaghetti factory or something. It's really fancy in there. And
Yeah, it was.
we're in, car t-shirts, and everybody else was in there in car t-shirts as well. But um we're in there, and it's like a three-course meal type place. We're like, hey, we just want some appetizers. We just need something on our stomach before we drink like 6 beers. And so this girl's trying to help us. It was really a ton of fun. The day
Yeah.
one shenanigans were crazy. Now I will say for 2023, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to do all I can to get in to be a race cart, to be a go kart team for all of us. And obviously, you're on there. Steven's on that team. We'll need a fourth member as sometime throughout the next year. We'll find that person. But that's my plan. I feel like that would have been a better use of our time, but my time, anyways, because all the Drag and Drive folks were there, would have been a better use of my time to be there conversating with Drag and Drive people and stuff like that instead of maybe at the Drag Illustrated party.
Yeah, but you don't know what you don't know, and none of us have
Yeah.
gone to that before, and all I
Yep.
heard was that's the place to be, so
Yeah.
we made sure that that was the place we were, and then come to find out, it was cool. It was something
Yeah.
different, but, yeah, if I had to choose again, probably go-karts for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. At least watching go karts, I think that was, I think that would have been more fun, drinking beer with our buddies. The
You didn't
music
like
was really
watching
loud. And I mean, now there was some
the
talent
bottle
in there,
service?
I guess. Talent is the way to go, as how we'll say that. In the Drag Illustrated party. So that was at least a good view a little bit there. But as far as standing and having music just that wasn't my scene.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
anyways, and then day two, I ran back down when the show opened at 8 for media, and ran around for an hour getting videos and things like that and talking to whoever would talk to me. And then I actually had to go back to the room to do my day job. And then you guys stayed. So tell us a little bit about day two and kind of what went on there.
Yeah, so one of the thing I don't think a lot of people know is there was 3 of us, right? So you, your brother, and myself, we all stayed in one room. But to be honest with you, once we left in the morning, we didn't really see each other throughout the whole
No.
day. I mean, we
Yep.
all kind of had different directives, I would say, on what we're doing. Steven
Yep.
had definitely vendors and booths he wanted to talk to. You had drag and drive stuff, and then I went there thinking I had a media pass because that's what I had last year, but somehow this year I ended up with what did it say? A service provider or something was what the
It's
title
something
was on the
like that.
badge.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
anyways, I went there to just do media coverage. So I went around, I wanted to cover pictures, I wanted to do vertical videos and horizontal videos. And so I think day one, I went around and did most pictures and vertical videos for reels and shorts. And then day two was finish seeing what I didn't see day one and
Hmm.
then start doing the horizontal videos for putting a full length video out, which I did get put out earlier today, right?
Yeah,
So
I think it was
today,
today or yesterday. I don't know. My
I
days
can't
are still
remember.
all jacked up. Coming back on Saturday to hit the Christmas parade really threw my time off because I'm used to coming home on Sunday, sliding into town just in time to sleep and go to work.
Yeah, it was yesterday. That's right. It was
Yep.
yesterday afternoon when I got the full length video put out.
Yeah, and dude, it's great. It's like 25 minutes. If people haven't subscribed to your channel, they need to do that, obviously. But that's a good video. There's a ton of great stuff in there. Cars, also some of the booth displays and things like that.
Yeah.
So that leads us into what were some of your top cars that you wanted that you saw that you got more video of and things like that.
So one of my favorites is always the Renegade Racing, the twin turbo LS Honda Civic hatchback.
Yes.
I met that guy last year at PRI, and we stood around and talked for 15, 20 minutes just about stuff in general, cars. Really cool guy. And then he was there again this year. And as soon as I walked up, he recognized me, which was pretty cool, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really anybody big to remember, but so we got chatting again and got a lot of video and pictures of his car. He had a new wrap
Yeah.
on it, so it looked real good. The colors on it worked really well with the pictures. The pictures turned out amazing. Um, and then we also talked a little business stuff, so
Yeah.
maybe potentially doing some trim rings for some of his stuff.
That's awesome. I want to talk about the folks that are in the Drag and Drive Addiction Facebook group. If you allow StreamYard, there's a small section on the bottom. If you allow StreamYard permission to show your name, it'll bring it up there. So for now, there will be Facebook user on folks that haven't done that. And then Steve Trant says Drag and Drive had a strong attendance of racers and others wanting to do an event. That is for sure. I will say Drag and Drive was definitely a big talk the entire time. And of course, as I roam around in my Drag and Drive hoodie and hat, I mean that brings that conversation out of people. But also, I'm out pushing that. I'm talking to the guys at the Molly Motorsports. I think every sponsor that was involved in a Drag and Drive event this year that was at PRI, I talked to and thanked them for the support for the community and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it would be nice to have a central meeting place or sponsor. Working on that right now, and I'm not going to give too many details, but working on a spot that we will be able to hang out. And obviously, I'll station up for racer decals next year and kind of an area that Drag and Drive racers could come to. I hope that we can land a central spot. I'm going to hit up PRI as soon as the exhibitor registration opens and see if we can get a good placement, something like that. So that is in the works, Steve. That's definitely on my mind for sure.
And 2023 dates have already been released, so
Yeah,
it's never too early to start planning.
that's right. Yeah, book hotels now, and I'll tell you the where do we say the Courtyard? Is that right?
Yep.
It
And you
was
can't
great.
book that. You can't book them this early.
Right. Yeah. 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 I think the PRI group handles all of registration for that, but get in early and book as many rooms as you think you'll need. Don't overbook. Sadly, we had 2 rooms booked, but I canceled one like an idiot because there was a lot of people that could have used that other room. So I don't know if we'll do 2 rooms again next year or just one and a cot. But yeah. So, anyways, we will definitely be looking at booth space for 2023 PRI.
And they don't tell you that parking is not included in the cost
Yeah,
of your hotel.
$35 a day. It was like, ouch. That's it was
Yeah.
kind of steep, but I mean, it was nice being right there, right outside. If you can swing the extra cost, the JW Marriott would save you about a quarter-mile round trip each time, and I'm sure there's one that's just as close.
But just to be able to wake up in the morning, not have to get in a car and go anywhere, just
Yeah,
walk, totally worth it. Like I said, going back to the room and unloading media and stuff, and
yeah,
just taking a break, getting off my feet, cracking open a beer and sitting in there,
yeah,
totally worth it. I would recommend, even if I would recommend Courtyard again and do the whole walk
yeah.
all over again. It's
Well,
totally
and
worth it.
we didn't do the bird scooters or lime scooters until till Friday night with the Maxon group, whoever was with Keaton and David Maxon. I saw Brad Mixon in here earlier making comments. Um, just get the app, the scooter app, and that would have been way smarter for us to pop out a side door of the convention center and ride the scooters over instead of the kind of zigzag walk you do to get all the way across.
I don't know. Those things got expensive real quick.
Yeah, it was about. I think I paid $55 at night to run around and have some fun.
It
Well,
was a
dude,
lot.
let's.
That was a lot of fun for sure, though. Like
Yeah,
it was kind of chilly out, but just again, anytime you're hanging out in a large group like that, just horsing around, it's so much fun.
right. So we talked about you liking the Civic. What was another car that was there that you enjoyed?
Oh boy, what else was there? I liked John Dock. He had his third gen Camaro was there. The Havix car was there. I
Yes,
liked that one. Um,
and Jesse Havlick. I was going to talk about it later, but Jesse Havlick won Engine Builder Magazine Engine of the Year in his Opel. See if I've got a picture of it pulled up. That was fun. And then some of the other drag and drive cars that were there were Bailey, of course, had 1.0 and 2.0 there, and then in two different booths. One was in Gear
yep.
Vendor, which I think this year was the first year that Gear Vendor had been to PRI in either a long time or ever, which was really cool. And they had 1.0, and then they had Schroeder's Vet, Schroeder Inn's Corvette, the new one. And then Jesse Havlick was there, Alex
Tina
Taylor.
Pierce.
Yep, Tina Pierce with the Nova, who they actually put one of the decals on the side for their top 50 spot in regional racer. She's actually number one in that on that list for 2022. And then Alex Taylor's car. Who else? There was somebody else there that's it's a big drag and drive. One thing I find pretty interesting was there was no, I don't know, for drag and drive cars there wasn't, other than Jesse's maybe, there wasn't any like 8-second cars. It was like the fastest of the fast were there. I would love to see some. I'd love to see some 850 cars there. Because the build to build the a consistent 850 car is pretty impressive. I mean, obviously the parts you can buy off the shelf most of the time, which is kind of a plus. But then the tuning side and things like that come along with that.
There was a couple Fox bodies that probably could have been decent drag and drive cars. I actually didn't
Yeah.
know whose they were. One was in the ICT billet
Hmm.
booth. That one was cool. And then there was David Little Evil Pearson. That was the teal Fox body.
Okay. Yep.
And then there
Yep.
was the Camaro that was in the Summit booth. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was a really nice car. Now that car's not necessarily street. I'm going to say they may race it on the street, but it's not. I wouldn't take a, open grilled, pro charged Camaro. Second gen Camaro. It was gorgeous though. It was really cool, and that was owned by Austin Gandy, and was really cool in the booth. But I think Summit realized they need a much bigger booth for what they want to do. So that'll be a big plus for them next year. I spent some time with those guys, just obviously talking about drag and drive and their involvement in all the events and things like that. Excuse me. And then, we talked about that car, and we talked about kind of what their plans are for the future. Hopefully they've got big plans, because that was the first time they had ever been to PRI. They had
Yeah.
typically always been a SEMA company. And so it's going to be nice. They're going to do both, I think, for 2023. So it'll be cool to see what they do for PRI. They're going to have a huge booth, and then maybe I can get a booth close to them. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And
So,
then one other car that I was thinking about, it's cool seeing all the street outlaws and the really expensive cars,
mhm.
but Boosted GT bringing his
Yeah, the
yellow
yellow.
new
Yeah,
edge. I mean,
yeah,
that is your typical street race car. I mean, there's
yeah,
obviously that's a nice engine in it, but when you talk about the level of their cars, I mean, his car, I've always liked that car. I liked his original SZ95 that he had.
yep,
So seeing that car, that was the first time I've got to see that one in person up close. That was
yep.
definitely a cool car. He trailered that there on an open trailer, which is even cooler.
Yes, yeah. Open trailer stuff. I mean, a dude with a regular cab long bed truck and an open trailer with a race car on it's the way to go. And then I see David Maxon here making comments. Next year, we're betting some money on those races. Steven's going to try and take everyone's money. That is for sure. And I'm hope he's talking about the scooter races because we had some of those. That was pretty fun. Those scooters there's no modulation to the throttle on the ones I was on. So it was all on or all off, which is way more fun if you're trying to do wheelies and stuff. And I was scared to try and do wheelies. I can't believe it's the first time I've ever tried to wheelie something I'm riding. So, anyways.
I think maybe because of the incident before then.
Yeah, Bradley Mixon, Mr. Half Tooth now, is cruising down the sidewalk, smacks probably a 6-inch tall bolt that's just standing up through the concrete that had been holding a sign, and endos this scooter just as we are pulling up and breaks a tooth. And I think he said it's like a $6,000 repair because he's got to have, or he has already had root canal to kill the root to kill the nerve. And it's this whole thing. It's been pretty wild. So we're going to call him Half Tooth from now on. He's got a full tooth now, but that's not as much fun.
That'll make you a little gun shy or throttle shy when you show up to that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. What else was on our stuff? We talked about. Hang on, let me get it open here. We talked about cars. We talked about booths. What was a booth you thought was really put together well?
So there was a lot of cool booths. I was trying to think about this one earlier. The one that gets me is probably not a booth that very many people stopped at. But over in the manufacturing area, there was laser marking industries. And if people know me, I'm fascinated with laser engravers. I've been trying to buy one recently. I'm gonna get one soon. I want to laser engrave stuff. So going over there and talking to those guys was definitely cool. And then of course they laser engraved an 815 LSX swaps onto a pen for me. So that was
Right.
awesome. And then there was another manufacturing booth over there. I'm going to try not to botch it. I think it was 168 Manufacturing. But I actually met those guys at IMTS, which is Illinois Manufacturing Technology Show in Chicago. And I was there for work, but they had, I think it was like a outlaw or a dirt car in their booth. So naturally, I went over and started talking to them. Come to find out, the sales guy had an LS swapped Volvo wagon, so we ended up um, talking and everything, and they ended up going to this show because I told them about it,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, so they bought a booth, and they said it kind of wasn't really fitting their business, but they said they had fun, so it was cool
Yeah.
to go hang out with them. And then there's another little group of car guys from my area, and I had told them about going, and I missed them. I didn't get an actual chance to catch up with them, but they were there, and they messaged me when we got back and thanked me for letting them know about it because they had a lot of fun. But
Right.
those were the booths that were interesting to me. I didn't spend a lot of time going around looking at all the booths. I wish I had a little more time, and maybe had I stayed the third day, I could have just taken a second to walk around and look at everything and not feel like I was working the whole time, right? I'd not feel
Yeah.
like I was trying to get pictures and videos of every car and everything. I think having that time to just go back around and actually enjoy the show probably would have been nice.
Yeah, that was probably the one thing that really caught me off guard was just the absolute amount of running I would do. I would talk to somebody for 15 or 20 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, and then I'm off and running again. Now, one thing I will definitely do for 2023, one, because I'll have more time, I intend to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Having a home base will be nice because you can just go back there and hang out. But I will plan better. That was the biggest thing I struggled with was I would leave, say I'd be at the Summit booth. I'd be like, oh man, I need to go see who's at the Drag Illustrated booth, right? And I would take off towards the Drag Illustrated booth. Well, then I'd open my show planner and be like, oh man, I need to go to row 3,700. Well, then I'd start working my way back, and it was completely across the whole thing. So lots of back and forth.
Yeah.
So next time I'll use the app a lot more to do that. And and just work smarter instead of harder. Because there was a lot of times I was working hard. You know what I mean? Just I wasn't
Yeah.
making it easy.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely planning is hard. I thought I planned well. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and I still ended up, I missed a seminar because I didn't get there early enough, which, again, that was my first time going to one of the seminars. So I got
Yeah.
there, I don't know, 5 minutes before the seminar started, and they were already full. So
Yeah.
I ended up getting into another one on day two. That was another one. Things that I did was check out a social media seminar.
Yep.
That was an hour and a half. I didn't realize that went really quick, but there's a lot of good
Yeah.
information there. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to see things, for me, take pictures, take videos, attend seminars, I mean, you're working the whole time.
Yeah, you were definitely running around like an animal, and it was really fun. Like, so as we're walking out, the guys from Get Out and Drive, or John from Get Out and Drive podcast, calls me. He's like, "Hey, where you at? I'm in the Racing Junk booth, man. Why don't you come by and we'll do an interview real quick?" I saw David or Michael Deal was in here a few minutes ago, so I got a chance to talk on their thing. Got a chance to meet the Racing Junk guys. That was really cool to hang out with them for a few minutes, but there was people all over the place doing interviews and having fun. So I want to ask you, who did you see? Who did you kind of fangirl about? Who is there that you wanted a picture that you maybe didn't get one?
That's difficult for me because I don't really fangirl kind of over that stuff. I mean, I was standing right next to Murder Nova, talking to him about some of his cars, the 55 that was there, the Donk. I was right next to Alex Taylor a couple times. I, None of that bothers me. I mean, that's honestly that's the one thing I like about PRI
Yeah,
is that everybody's there and there's not really a huge line to go, let's go meet so and so. Everybody's just hanging out and kind of doing
yep,
their own thing.
yep. It was. There were so many people I took selfies with that it was insane. And the funnest part, I mean, obviously, I always say my race car friends are why I go to these kind of things. But guys, walking through there and seeing people that you knew was the coolest feeling ever. Like Glenn Hunter walked by as you and I were talking. So I like grabbed him, grabbed you. We're all three talking about cars and drag and drive stuff. It was a ton of fun. But there's so many selfies. I'm trying to pull all the pictures from my phone and really make a long video of it. It's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody that I relatively knew, I grabbed a picture with, and then Clay Milliken was there. That was kind of neat to kind of hang out with him, get an autograph of that, and then Erica Enders, I got an autograph with her, and obviously a selfie. And then I don't know. Tina and David Pierce were always so cool. And I think to get to where I was going, about every time I made a pass through the floor, I ended up past the Crower booth.
Hmm.
And they were smiling, having fun. They were talking to somebody. We high fived, we hit knuckles, all kinds of fun. So it was cool to see them and have a good time with that stuff too. So there was a lot of people everywhere. I got to see Alex and Nick Taylor. Obviously Dennis Taylor, got to hang out with him for a little bit too. And then I saw Luke. In passing, I went, kind of patted him on the back. Luke with Sick the Mag, and then I saw Bailey twice, but that was it. And then saw Dave Schroeder at one point, just cruising around. It was a lot of fun. I feel like for what I do, anyways. Now, probably what you do too. The people there are who we want to see. We want to hang out with race car people. We want to hang out with people that are generally turning their own wrenches and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. I did see John Force was there. I didn't actually
Yep,
get to
yep,
see him at all, but I did get to check out the car. I
yep.
think I walked by when Brittany was doing autographs at one point. I think I walked through there, but I didn't catch it. I
I,
thought
I
I
I
heard
think
somebody
she
say,
just I think she just has people follow her all the time, whether she's doing a autograph signing or not. I think it's just a group of people that just follow her around.
fair.
I did see John Force, and I was gonna stop in line, but I think it was like 9 o'clock Friday morning, and I had to be back at the room by 9:30. And dude, it was 20 minutes to walk to the room, so
Right.
I couldn't stay because there was at least an hour's worth of people in line. But he was hilarious. He was talking, yelling at people, and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun to
Yeah,
see
just
to
the
see
the
John Force
overall
do his thing.
Yeah, the overall vibe there is just so relaxed, and like you said, everybody's just there to talk, talk about
Yeah,
cars, and yeah,
yeah.
you've got salesmen there that want to sell you stuff and whatnot, but um, I'm not in the camp of being able to buy a lot of that stuff, so that
Right.
doesn't bother
Well,
me too much. But
and
what is
and there.
interesting
Go ahead.
What's interesting is I hope to get to a point as I get further with the Mustang where maybe I'm going looking for parts, but I
Yeah,
was kind of thinking about this. I go there and I'm doing the media stuff, so pictures, videos, but then at the same time, I was looking for business stuff for trim rings, and kind of talking to at least 3 or 4 different people about that. And then at the same time, I'm building a car. So when I think back, I was there as a driver, a business person, a media person. So it didn't really hit me until just the other day that it's like, wow, I kind of was doing a bunch of different stuff. And maybe that's why
yeah.
I felt like I was so busy because I was trying to do a little bit of everything. And as one person, it's a lot to do.
Well, and not having a plan going in of what you're trying to accomplish, I think that was probably my biggest hurdle. Calvin Nelson of Nivlac 57 put out a really good video, I think today or yesterday, and he was talking about PRI and why it's so good for the community. And he's like, we're having piston scuffing issues in these high horsepower 4200s they're building. So he's like, we were talking to different piston manufacturers and ended up talking about connecting rods and things like that and how to correct this issue and all that kind of stuff. And that's what, like, from a racer or builder perspective, that's what you could do at PRI. It was really eye opening. Now for me, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I don't typically, we run decap injectors in the old truck. I run a VS Racing 78, 75 turbo. You know what I mean? Like, there
Yeah.
wasn't just a ton of stuff, but we're putting the cart back together to give away before the circuit drag and drive in April. So I luckily ran by, and as I see Devin Vanderhoof, who obviously hosts a drag and drive event called Southeast Street and Yeet, who's doing 2 events. So I had to talk to him because it's a drag and drive guy. But then also, Matt Happel, the Lord and Savior, the raccoon man, Trash Panda. He he was there. Cameron Powers, the Law LSX Crown Vic LSX swaps guy, and then Ryan Jans was there. So kind of in that group of people that I'm talking to, Devin obviously took me. That's who I saw to take me there. But then from there, getting to see and meet Matt Happel, who is the only reason I LS swapped my old truck by myself, did my harness myself, built a Don't BS Me clone set up in it, and am driving it and having fun and doing burnouts and getting ice cream. He is the only reason for that. And then, obviously Cameron Powers, all that kind of stuff. But Ryan Jans ended up, him and I are talking tomorrow about a super budget converter for the cart to go in when we put the new trans in. So it wasn't just, hey, this is a cool shot, this is a cool opportunity to get a good selfie. It was also, here's an opportunity for me to get parts that puts a car back on the road. So it was really cool to see those guys, and kind of, I did fangirl for a few minutes on those guys because Matt Happel's kind of a big deal in the world I run in. He puts cars together and they go fast, and that's what we like to do on the cheap. So,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
that was
I didn't see him.
Yep, that was a good time. And then obviously David and Tina Pierce, like I said a while ago, Alex Taylor, Nick Taylor, Dennis Taylor, they were always fun to see as I walked by. And then I was cruising down an aisle that I think had like 3 or 4 people on it. And Dave Schroeder comes around, just like kind of merges in the same line with me. And we got to talk for 2 or 3 minutes while he was going to another booth. And those guys are great guys. Any drag and drive person is typically a great person, especially when you see them out at an event like that and you're out of your typical element, and everybody just has fun and talks. And I don't know, man, it was a blast.
I mean, it's December and we're all still getting to hang out doing car
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, what's better than that?
Yeah, well, and that's what I keep telling folks about drag and drive stuff, man. It's so great because, like, up until recently, November was, November 11th would have been the last one for King of the Open Road. Well, luckily that's close to me. But for some of these guys, the last drag and drive they get to go on is like June or July, maybe September if they do some race week or hot rod drag week stuff. So to be able to see all of our friends at PRI is always a great way to end the year. And like I said in the beginning, if people weren't here, if you need a way in, I mean, I'll always be looking for more media teams for drag and drive on this side, so we can probably get some folks in. Now, I'm not going to let everybody in. You got to be cool to get in under my name, so you don't tear something up. But anyways,
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
I took
definitely going to enjoy that.
what did I say? I took 560 photos,
Yeah,
and 200 videos. I think it was like 125 vertical and 75 horizontal or something. I mean,
yep,
that's in just 2 days.
yeah.
That's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot.
Well, and now, how many hours do you think you have editing that stuff once you got back home?
Um, a few hours doing the pictures. Pictures go pretty quick. I mean, I'm just touching them up a little bit, throwing our logo on there. Video, I don't know. I'd probably say I spend a day. I mean,
Yeah,
like I'm on vacation, so I've got unlimited time right now to work on stuff. But I would say I probably spent a good day, maybe 8-10 hours editing pictures, videos, organizing all my stuff, rendering,
yeah.
tweaking. I, I'd say about that.
Yep. Well, that's cool. You have some time off. That's I'm jealous. I have burned up every bit of PTO I have for 2022, and I'm ready for that stuff to start restocking. My next event is obviously Sick Week in February, and then we go. Hopefully, maybe I can work out a Southeast Street and Yeet event early April, and then of course our own event in Joplin, Missouri, April 14th. Now, you and I have talked a little bit about you maybe coming down and doing some media coverage for me, for us, for you, for that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yep, I've already the wife and I were already talking about that a little bit.
Nice.
So I already got that on the radar, and the other one that we talked about later in the year too.
Yeah, yep. Bring it on. It's gonna be a good time. And then obviously, from there, I think once you attend a drag and drive event, you're gonna be hooked. You're gonna be done. It'll change your life. That's what I say all the time. It'll change your life, and it's changed mine for sure. So we're gonna change yours once you get down here.
Oh, guarantee. So
Yeah,
my goal would be to not have this much vacation left over next year.
that's right. That's right. And we can help that. Drag and drive will help that for sure. I think I was gone 6 weeks traveling for drag and drive events this past year. Yeah, and please put your name on whoever this is, because listen, message me. I'd love to talk to you about the event. Obviously, we've sold out. We have 100 spots. I am probably going to allow a few more in, just once because once people start falling off, once they maybe don't get that turbo for Christmas, or those parts they need from Santa Claus, that may be they'll pop in and they'll say, hey, I can't make it, and then we can bring some people in from the wait list.
I think that's a dirty panda. I think he said.
Oh, I got you. Perfect. Yeah, dude, you need to come down for sure. Anyways, we got to hang out in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say
Anyways,
him and I have talked a bunch too about meeting up at different events, and we've yet
yep,
yet to be able to do it,
yep, yeah.
which is
So
hilarious because we're how far are you and I apart? Like we
me and
got to
you,
be yeah.
we're probably 9 or 10 hours, something like that.
It is our third event that we've been at together.
Yeah, yep. Yep. So yeah, you came up. So we officially met in
Cletus and Cars.
21 for Cletus and Cars Indy, and then race drag week you came to Byron,
Yep.
and then again here for PRI. Yeah, man,
And
it's
and
fun.
I
But
was
yeah,
and I
you
was
and I
in your
talk
area,
all the time.
and I was in your area for the Volvo build, but unfortunately, I
Yeah.
think we were busy or you were busy. We didn't get to meet up during that time, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like you were saying, we talk at least daily for the most part,
Right.
bouncing ideas off of each other, and like I always say, celebrating each little victory that we have.
That's right.
No
Yep.
matter what it
So,
is, if you're gonna make it in this, YouTuber, social media, whatever we got going on, you gotta celebrate every victory, every accomplishment, no matter how little
right.
it is. That's what keeps the drive going to do more.
Well, and that's the biggest thing about being a YouTuber and being a social media person, is being out there. So it's you're putting yourself out there every time you put in a video out. So it's always good to know that some people are watching.
Yeah, and I've
And
been
then
doing
yeah,
that with these new videos. I've definitely been trying. trying
Yeah.
something a little different with those.
Right. So tell everybody about your new YouTube adventure, and then if you want to, dude, you're more than welcome to jump in the back, and we'll get started with some co-pilot stuff, kind of overlap and get Eric really foaming at the mouth to come to a drag and drive event, come do a drag and drive event.
Yeah. So YouTube is doing a challenge, doing 31 YouTube shorts for the whole month of December. Um, so post one a day, no big deal. But then there's 5 trends that they're doing where they tell you what you got to do, timestamp, kind of how to put the video together. And they were all Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas themed, which is fitting. Um, but
Yep.
it's been cool because I would have never thought to make automotive content out of, the scenarios that they were giving us. And it was
Yep.
kind of cool because it allowed me to sit down and kind of plan a video like I would do a full length video, but for a short. Um, and yeah, it kind of got me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I was lip singing, I was, acting, and
Yeah.
it was actually a lot of fun. My youngest boy, he was the one handed me the camshaft and the piston and the nitrous in the one video, and he was excited because that video got used in one of the official YouTube blog posts. So that was kind of cool, and he was excited because that was his hand in there that kept popping in and out. So it's definitely been cool.
Yeah.
Between posting 2021 PRI stuff, leading up to PRI, joining this sprint or whatever they call it, and then this year's PRI. I mean, right now all of our social media in general is just it's at an all-time high right now. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
try to keep riding that out as long as I can. And I got
Right. Yeah.
lots of videos
Ride
still
the
to
wave.
post.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, what else do we need to talk about, man?
I don't even remember what else we had on here.
I think we've covered everything. I'll pull the notes back up, but I think that's probably most of everything. Really, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 days went so quick, and you
Yeah.
think about how many hours we were out doing stuff, and now thinking back, I mean, it just flew by. I mean, I got home and I just chilled. I was so
Right.
burnt out, uh, and then I
It's
got up the next day and kind of started, doing the mandatory, start editing pictures, reaching out. That's the other thing is I've, worked while I was there and met some people and been in communication with people since I got back. So we're gonna do podcast episodes with somebody hopefully coming up soon.
yeah.
So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Dirty Panda, I see over here, bud. Yep. That's again. If you are in the Drag and Drive Addiction Facebook group, you need to give StreamYard permission. For some reason, it only needs that in the Facebook groups, or you can jump over to the dragondrive.com Facebook page, or we're on YouTube as well. And then as we move into 2023, I'm going to increase our setup and our StreamYard setup, and to where we can go live on more channels, because this is going to become a weekly episode. We're going to do this as often as possible. My intention is to do at least 40 during 2023 of this, and keep the Drag and Drive News episode going as well each week. The Drag and Drive News is more of a cut down, you know, 30 minutes tops, hard hitting news every week. We have different segments, we have different sponsors and things like that that will cover different race lists. All that will go in there. This is more of what we've done tonight, which is have fun, kind of give more detail and stuff. And like you're going to see with Jay here, I see him in the background too, back room, to where we can actually have longer conversations, have more fun. We'll kind of rotate through guests. So we're going to leave Eric on for a few minutes and let him talk with Jay a little bit and kind of understand, why he needs to do this. And even being a co-pilot is the way to go as well, because Jay is probably the number one co-pilot that I know. So we're going to bring him on. I see you shaking your head there, man. It's the truth.
I don't know know about that.
So, if you want to give everybody a quick recap of the car you guys drive, and then obviously some of the accolades from this year.
So I co-pilot for Brian Acton. He's got a 70 Nova um, Turbo LS. Imagine that. You've been talking about him all night. It's S400 turbo, 91 mil, Baker long block, Baker Engineering long block, Capizzi trans. We're like this nucleus in West Michigan that puts together some pretty rad LS stuff. So
Yeah. And then you also do a little bit of the tuning on, or a lot of the tuning on the car to run as close as possible to an 850. That's your goal, right?
yeah, so John Capizzi does all the power tuning at Capizzi Automotive in Holland, and then I do all the track stuff on the car. So chasing DA is what it really boils down to.
Right. Yep. Now I've said it for a long time, but street race, small block or big block power adder, that's my jam. I love that class. I think it, to me, is the perfect street car. An 850 street car is amazing because you don't have some big crazy cage that's in the way and stuff like that. So
It makes
what made
it easy
you
for big guys like me to get in and out of the car.
well, right. And again, that car is not ragged edge a lot of times to get to that kind of power level. You guys can actually go way faster. You've been way faster.
Yeah, we
It's
went.
a matter of tuning.
Yeah, this fall at a track rental at 131 up near Grand Rapids, Michigan, where we're from. The car went 798 at almost 170. So
Come on.
we feel like it's got more in it. I think it'll go 499 to the 8th next year with some better front half numbers. But yeah, we went 798 at like 169.78 mile an hour. Like the thing just would not go 170, and we went. It's funny, the thing goes 850. I feel like clockwork, and it went like 799, 799, 798 with a 7. It was just like it did not want to go much quicker than 80. But to say, for Brian to say he's got a 7-second street car, then he can say that, and then we're working harder and harder to make the thing just even more lethal at 850. So.
Yep, and then he drives that to work. I think he said every 2 weeks or something like that. I mean, it's amazing.
It's Fridays for him. He tries to get it out if the weather's nice, and then local cruising, car shows, and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. Well, it's one of my favorite cars for sure. Out of any of the stuff that's out there, obviously, I love that car. Novas are my jam. 850 cars are my jam. So it's right up my alley. And it's really, really clean. Like that's a car that he's had for a while and you can tell that he's taken care of and stuff like that. So let's talk what does it take to slow a car down from an 8.0 to an 850?
The easy term is less boost. In that car at 3,200 pounds, we run at like 3250-ish for drag week type trim, Midwest drags, whatever it may be. Byron always seems to read light, and so we always want to try and be like 60 to 70 pounds heavy in the event that we end up under. So we take 200-ish or so horsepower out of the car to go 8.0 to 850. Right around there.
That's a bunch.
Maybe 180, but somewhere in that ballpark.
That's crazy, man. So this is probably, well, I'll say it like this. Drivers always get all the recognition, but I'm trying to change that. We are going to start tracking. We're going to start collecting co-pilot names as well. So
Sweet.
When someone earns a spot on the list, it will actually list the driver and co-pilot. I think that'll be kind of cool. Doing the first time that's ever been done. So hopefully I can gather all that stuff. But from a co-pilot standpoint, what's your number one job? One, while driving down the road, and then two, at the track.
So driving down the road is don't miss a turn. And so you talked about like accolades of the car. So Midwest Drags twice with the Nova and Drag Week twice. Last year was stock bottom end combo. Car ran like 860s to 880s. I think we finished with like an 888 average or something like that at Drag Week last year. Finished like 10th out of 42 maybe, or 9th out of 42. And then this year we won Midwest Drags and we finished second at Drag Week. So one of the things we added this year was we added rugged radios, which was like a night and day difference. Like I wasn't screaming. And we didn't like get to the point where like, are you yelling at me? No, I'm not yelling at you, you know? So like, so that made the trip much more enjoyable because it's a loud car. The exhaust dumps like right by the tail shaft of the transmission. And so it's, you know, the car is, you know, it's loud. And so the rugged radios, it's less the mental fatigue, you know, of doing the week and hot days. Drag Week this year was insane hot. Sunday for tech was warm, and then it rained just a little bit, and the humidity kicked up even worse.
It was
and then
brutal.
It was in the 90s. I think it was 93 in St. Louis on Monday and like 91 in Indy on Tuesday. And so you've got this physical fatigue, and then you've got mental fatigue added to it. So radios definitely made a big difference. And then being turn by turn for Drag Week, it was like, you know, we've got to hit every single checkpoint, and we've got to make sure that we, you know, follow the letter of the law. And so radios are definitely a benefit there. You know, and then I do a little bit of like, I'll say cruise tuning. Also, if we find like, you know, the car's unhappy, like at a certain mile an hour, thus a certain RPM or something like that, then, you know, I'll flip the laptop open and fiddle with some stuff, or if we're working with fan cooling strategies or something like that to, you know, see if we can't, you know, add a little bit of timing, see if we can't get a little bit of heat out of the motor or something like that. So we fiddle with that a little bit going down the track down the road. So it's not uncommon for me to have the laptop open at least once a day and just kind of take a look at where, you know, closed loops at and stuff like that. Or if Brian sees something weird on the gauges he's looking at and he says, hey, can you take a look at this in the background or something? Then we do that type of stuff. So
that's awesome. And then once you guys arrive at the track, now you get how many? You said you've done 4 events together?
Yep. Yeah, Brian's done 5 in total. He ran a turbo LS Mustang back when Drag Week, like in 98, I think, the year of like the hurricane that came through when they started and ended in Atlanta. But so we've done 4 events with the Nova, and they've all been him and I.
That's awesome. So you guys have a probably a pretty good process. What's it look like when you pull into a track? Are you tripping over each other? Do you have your assigned, you know, I say assigned, there's no assigned jobs, but like stuff that you do and he does?
Yeah, it's funny because it's not just Drag Week. It's pretty much like all the time when we're working on the car. We both have awesome significant others that help us, Brian's girlfriend and my wife. And they're like, where can we put this in the trailer? And we're like, please don't put it in the trailer. Like, if you pack up a folding chair, put it next to the trailer, and we will put it in because it goes in like Tetris.
Yes.
And we end up unpacking to repack just because how stuff goes. And we're really both meticulous guys to the point where like sometimes we almost get on each other's nerves. But we do, like, we are almost too alike in some cases. So, and I think it's what makes us a really good combo, like running down the road. So I'm fortunate for that, to have Brian as a friend and be a co-pilot for him and that kind of stuff. But so we run like a winter snow tire with a ton of siping in it, like on the street, on like a set of old IROC wheels or something like that. So and we have a buggy, like a carrier that we put in. We do not actually pull a trailer. So actually,
you guys are nuts for that. I don't know how anybody does the basket, but I will tell you this: it was the coolest burnout when we left that Route 66 bar and grill.
Yeah, it was a big burnout, and we actually cracked the trailer hitch, I think, either before that or after that. But then that burnout was the straw that broke the camel's back because it got bad after that. So that's an off-season repair item. So we put like a set of snow tires on it. So we swap tires. We unload soft-sided bags out of the back of the car. We carry 10 gallons of fuel with us on top of a 15-gallon cell. But no, there's not a lot of tripping because we just kind of we know our jobs and we know what to do. And
Yep.
By the time like we're like wrapping up with, I'll say like swapping the car for like race ready, I'm getting an idea on like what the DA looks like.
Mhm.
And we've got like reams of paper of data that I'm going back and mulling through and finding like, hey, when were the track conditions like this, or when were the track conditions
Wow.
like that, or we have between the SBE combo and the combo that's in it right now, I think we have like north of 300 passes on the car.
Wow.
All with the glide, same rear end ratio, slightly different turbo, obviously different engine package SBE to the built engine that's in it now. But I have a pretty good idea on like how much boost change equates to an ET number.
Right.
And so we've gone to the track sometimes where it's like, I'm going to leave the same tune-up in it, and we're going to go make 6 passes throughout the course of the night and watch the DA get better. And I want to see like what kind of like change that makes to the ET. Because that's really where we've got the data to, try and go out and try and throw darts. That's the goal, right?
Well, right. And like, I mean, I want people to understand at home, like, and Steve Trance was in here earlier, so this is a great conversation to be having with him in the background.
Yes.
And I will tell you this: the plan is to have you and Brian and Steve and Dustin on at the same time in the near future.
Oh yeah,
again,
that'd be awesome.
because I think it'd be fun. You guys finished second at Drag Week, only behind them by like 0.003 or something like that. It was like 8.513 or 8.516 for them, and like 8.520 something for you guys maybe. But I think I'm thinking of the list on the top 100, because obviously both of you guys made the top 100 list.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was by 0.003 behind them. How does that make you feel? Does that make you mad?
Wow, why do you guys put me on the spot like that? You told me earlier you were going to throw me to the wolves.
Yeah, hang on. I'm looking it up now. I think it's 003. I think it,
So,
but it was at different events too. So that
yeah. So at one juncture in my life, I used to golf a lot more, and I equate 850 racing to golfing. You take a ball that's like this big around and try and hit it 7,200 yards with a club that's like 4 foot off the end of your like hands. And you get mad if you shoot like over 100.
Yeah.
And we're taking a 3,200 pound car that's turbocharged nonetheless, and we're going to try and accelerate it and control its speed to like 005 accuracy, and we get mad when we're not that good.
Well, and you're doing it at a new track every day.
Yeah.
Every day is a new track, new surface. You don't know, like you talk about DA and stuff like that, but like we're literally talking about you pull in at 8 a.m. and it'll change between 8 a.m. and 2 o'clock drastically. The track surface, the DA, the entire ecosystem of that track changes the entire time you're making passes, and it's actually 001. Dustin Trance is number 35 with an 8.515, and your number or Brian, and you number 36 with an 8.516.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the top 100. Now, the one thing that's interesting to me that I like from gathering all this stuff is that was actually y'all's Midwest Drags trip. Now, Hot Rod Drag Week is a one pass. You only have to make one pass every day, but Midwest Drags you got to turn in 2. So from your and I conversations, your single pass average from Midwest Drags would have actually been better than a 2-pass Midwest Drags setup, which is, it's all strategy from that point.
Yeah, so we went a 501 on day 1, and we went 8.503 on the last day of Midwest Drags, and then we went like a 25.26 and 5.18 or something like that. So our average would have been 8.508 if we would turn in our best 4 time slips from day 1 through 4.
Yep.
And so that's the other thing too. And like, kudos to Dustin and his dad. They went 8,500 on one day, and we all, Campbell came out on the first 2 days, and it was like, well, who's going to compete for second place? Because he went 504 and 506, and it was just like, we're in deep crap.
And he went that on like 2 passes.
Yeah, he was
Like
one and
literally,
done both days.
yeah, it was insane. I mean, that's
And so like I'm like, okay, well, it's a race for second at this point because we
Yeah.
went. So our first pass of the day on Monday, we went 498, and I was like, okay, well, that's crappy. And then we chased the DA all day long, as you were just saying, Mike. It's like the DA progressively got worse, and we didn't add enough power as it got progressively worse, and we just chased it.
Yep.
And I totally forgot where I was going with this, but
Well,
we
how
were
many?
chasing Campbell, and then hats off to Dustin and his dad because they were trying to be persistent, and they went 8,500, and and we finally kind of came around as the weather got better. Like we got more into like a realm where we had good data for like we haven't really ran the car terribly hard in the 90-degree heat, and so I'm sitting here tickling the keys, and as I talked about Brian and I's like our demeanor and like the way we interact with each other. I mean, we got to the third day, and you were saying earlier in the cast where you were like, "Yeah, these are 850 cars. Where like you could hand your wife the keys and she'd go drive it down the street."
Yeah.
Brian's like, "I have the easy job, and I am not envious of what you're doing every day." He's like, "I stage the car and let off the trans brake, and at that point, if I hold my foot to the floor, like it's totally up to you."
Yep.
And we've got local track owners that are like, that is the slowest looking 850 pass I have ever seen go down my track. Because the thing does a wheelie to 40 feet and it goes 130, 545, 850 at 160, like just straight down the track. And then when it doesn't, then I get really frustrated because it's gone too slow or it's gone too fast. And then, we start chasing it a little bit, and that's when it's not fun.
Well, how many passes did you make that were too fast?
Oh, the logbook's out in the garage right now, but
I was going to say I remember at least, and again, the hard part about attending so many events is like you mix stuff, but I know at least 3 or 4 I caught on camera because I'm going back through that footage.
I was going to say 4 or maybe 5.
Yep.
Indy really like crushed us because we went. We hot lapped the car right at the end of the day. We made 2 passes within 15 minutes of each other. The car went like 855 or something, and so we took 30 pounds out of the car, and we figured 30 pounds out and hot lapping, it's going to go like 820s maybe, and it went like 8,498. And I was like, how does the car pick up like 50 something numbers? Or I guess I picked up. How does it pick up 5 numbers, taking 30 pounds out and being hot lapped? And it's like, well, the rear end lube is a little bit, like all of the fluids are less resistive because they're hotter and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, at that point, I should have just left the 30 in it and gone and made another pass.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. What's your normal turnaround time? Like an hour? Do you guys try and?
We can, if we want to, like, if we have fans on the car and we're like trying to test where we're trying to get like the most bang for the buck at $5 a gallon for diesel to tow it there and all that kind of stuff, we'll turn the car in like 35 minutes with a couple blower fans going on it.
Yeah.
Drag week type stuff, I'll say if like the ambient air temp is like 75 to 80 degrees, we try and turn the car like every hour to hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We generally, like in the open run session or like where they'll do the lane calls, we normally can get in like really early and then we can get staged. Like we'll come back and cool the car off for 30 minutes and we'll get back in the lanes knowing it's going to be, 30 to 40 minutes for us to like get ran through the lanes, and then we just let the car cool in the staging lanes. But if we want to get really aggressive, like we'll make 7 passes in the course of like, 3 hours.
Man,
like at our local track.
Yeah, that's a turnaround for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a turnaround. Let's see, what was I was going to ask you about? So we talked about the turnaround time. I mean, there's so many questions I have. Eric, do you have any questions? I feel like all I've done is talk and pointed direct questions at Jay. Is there anything that you have that you want to ask him about? Because that's our next step, is to get your ass into a drag and drive event.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm just kind of absorbing everything here and listening. I just think about my car and how like unprepared it is for one of these events.
You say that though. I mean, like, these cars aren't crazy. I mean, Jay, would you say if you can make 100-mile street cruise in town and stuff like that, you could do a drive like this, right?
Yeah, I think that there's an aspect of like, I have a really good friend, Kevin Piper, who co-drove a Camaro with Don. I want to say Foose, but that's not his last name. He did Drag Week last year, and for him it was like complete, not compete.
Yes. Yes.
They ran unlimited, and they were like, "Hey, like the car, like the best it's ever been is like 17s," and so they're like, we just want to complete the event, And I think Eric, for you, like that's something to just be like,
yeah.
Depending on like what you're trying to drive, it's like if you have a car that makes. This is horrible for me to say this, but it's like, it doesn't take a tremendous amount to make 800 wheel these days. Kind of crazy to be thinking about that in 2022.
Yeah.
But like, if you have a 3,200 pound car that makes 800 wheel, the thing's going to go like 890s,
Yeah.
880s. And so even if you were like, I mean, in 880s, like at Drag Week, Mike will probably correct me on this, but like 880s at Drag Week will like net you like top 14, top 12.
Yeah.
And so it's like you could even detune the car a little bit and be like, okay, what did we learn? And what do I need to fix for next year? Where you're not really even leaning on the car. When Brian and I did Drag Week last year, we averaged 888. Like I said, I think we finished 9th. We had hurt the built engine 3 weeks prior to that. Money spent, hotels are booked, and it's like, hey, that's bubblegum and duct tape this stock bottom end back together. And right. Mike has heard our discussion about this whole combo, we'll let Brian share the whole story, but this thing was like literally full of dust bunnies in the corner of the garage because it was never going to get used again. And Brian's like, all right, hey Jay, like, what do you think on stock bottom end, mind you? He's like, on 20 pounds of boost and really conservative timing, like, what do you think this thing will run? And I'm like, if it'll make 750 to 800 wheel, it'll run 880s, Mm-hmm. And so our goal is to like run an 8 at every track. And someone asking for my autograph. That's funny.
Yeah. You're famous, bro.
It's Facebook user though, so I don't know who it is, but so the goal is to run an 8 at every track, and then we hurt the engine bad at Byron. It lifted ahead, made a bunch of coolant pressure. And then we made 2 passes, and with Bryant's wreck and some other stuff at Martin, we went like 902 on the last day. It was like our best pass. So we averaged in the 8s, but didn't go 8s every day. But I mean, so I think that's just what a lot of people just need to understand is like, go for the experience and try and complete the event.
Well, and I'll say this, the 2 largest classes and the 3rd class, largest class is 10-second for the first time ever with 2022, and then 12-second class, and then 11 seconds behind that. So again, you don't have to have an 8-second car to come out swinging. There's like Steve Eden and Pete Holm, their goal is to finish every year, and they have a Nova that's in a LS now and stuff like that. They just go out to finish, and they finished for 15 straight years. They've finished Drag Week. So
yeah. For me, it would definitely be complete. And I think the 240 would do it. I just don't know if that would be as much fun. I mean, I've got drag wheels for it. I've got a 2-step for it. I've got a bottle of nitrous I can put on it. It's still a manual car, but the Fox body just needs to be finished, and it needs to be driven around town and make sure everything's functioning. Like right now,
Yeah.
the radiator's too small, so it overheats just driving it, to the parts store and back. So those are I guess my biggest fear is braking and then being so far away from the truck and trailer, and then the rescue job, which and I didn't it didn't hit me right away. For some reason I was thinking I'm X distance away from Illinois here, but realistically you're X distance away from your starting track where your truck and trailer is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which really in the scheme isn't really all that far. And I think
Yeah.
that was one of the things that originally got me so concerned was I'm 12 hours from home. Well, that's true, but I'm 2.5 hours from my truck and trailer where I can go get it, load the car up, and then, I'm still good at that point.
Yep. And
Yeah, I
that's the
think the
biggest
other
thing
thing,
too.
Eric, like is it's a community, right?
Yeah.
And everybody wants to see you succeed. And so, it's thumbs up on the side of the road. It's they just broke down. Let's pull over and see if we have a part that they might need.
Yep.
So there's a lot of aspects like about the communal piece where like everybody wants you to try and finish.
Yeah.
It's not so visceral. That people are like, well, he's a competitor, so I'm gonna leave him on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then
If you're not ready to rebuild a trans on the side of the road, like, are you even really ready?
Well, and that's the other thing too, Mike. I mean, you've got to kind of like go into this saying like, these are the things I'm willing to do, and these are the things that are going to make me call home. And we could go in a whole rabbit hole about what to pack. Because I think like, Doug Cook has talked about like preparing for Rocky Mountain Race Week, and it's like, hey, being an owner of TBM, he's like, the more weight you pack on a vehicle, like the more difficult it is to stop that said vehicle. And so, like Brian brought a transmission when they did the race in '98, and he's like, I don't really know if I would have ever swapped that transmission, and all it was a couple 100 pounds in the trailer that just made it more difficult for my car to run, and more heat torque converter and all this kind of stuff. And so, like, if you can buy it at a parts store, don't pack it.
Yep.
And I feel like if you're in the competing phase, then maybe you want to bring all that stuff because, you're competing, so you need to make sure. But I don't know if for me, if I'm just in a complete, I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. The biggest thing that I was thinking though is like for me would be like, what could go wrong with my car? It's a turbo LS. I can go to O'Reilly's and pick up just about anything. So for me, I just gotta do it. I gotta get to one, and maybe I just take the 240 the first time and run that, and kind of get a feel for what the event is gonna be, and then maybe I can kind of figure out how to get the Fox body into that so that it fits in there, and I can
I mean, it's like I see people like, I call it a yard sale, like when you're like just spewing stuff all over like your pit spot, but it's like when you're yard selling like an alternator and a water pump and all this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself like, there's like 70 something pounds right there between those two items, and they're literally like a Napa right there has them sitting on the shelf.
Especially for LS. I mean, hell, anymore, small block Ford, small block Chevrolet, all that kind of stuff, they've got all those parts.
And so like we carry the things like we can't get at an O'Reilly, like a 4-bar map sensor, right? An MTK wideband. Like those are two things that like go, like we carry wheel studs because people don't have fine thread 5/8 wheel studs.
Who wants one of those anyways, dude?
But I will also say this, like, again, going back to like how Brian and I are, like I'm a degreed engineer, so like I'm like 101, like meticulous about stuff. Like we open our bags and we take pictures of them, and so we know like what is in every bag, and so like when we get ready to do the next event, like it's documented, and it's like what was in this bag, right? And there's one's got yellow cording on it just because it was bought from Harbor Freight and this was bought from Home Depot or whatever, but it's just we know when we're going to get something, like what bag we need to grab out of the tote to like so we're more efficient, we carry along with us the stuff we can't buy somewhere. or we don't want to pay $8 for spark plugs because that's what they are at Napa, and you can buy them on Rock Auto for $325 or whatever. But
yeah, the Coyotes are different. Coyotes, I'm a fan of. The mod motor, they had to go through that process. They had to go through the 2-valve, 3-valve, 4-valve stuff. They had to go through that to get to where they are now. I'm a big fan. The Hargets, I will say, I'm really excited to see that car come back out. He's really gunning for a 6-second average, and I like what we're seeing now is like Rick Prospero's RX-7 looks like a regular RX-7. There's no turbos way out of the hood. The Harget's car, it's not taking crazy stuff to make those kind of numbers, because I've always been a fan of like a car that looks relatively factory. You start adding pro mod stuff, and I know we've got to go there to get those kind of times that we're looking for or they're looking for. But again, I go back to an 850 car is just such a great car. And, I think we're going to see maybe some 8.0 stuff moving as become more popular. But again, it's hard to climb in and out of that car. I don't think
yeah,
I'm not tossing the keys to the wife in a 750 cage to run down to the grocery store and grab some stuff because I parked the race car in behind her car.
you brought up Hargett and the Mustang, so and he's kind of like giving me some crap about wanting my autograph and stuff. So I think after Ryan runs a 6 with the Mustang, he should get that Bickle Camaro out and convert it over to drag week and make some laps with that thing.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Because I know the twin to that car has been 370s to the 8th, and so I know that and that's Turbo LS. So I don't know where Ryan wants to put it in his car, but
right. Well, let's talk regional events, because I think a guy like Eric can benefit from regional type stuff. Now I know it's the future. I know there's going to be a lot more regional events come for 2023 and 24. I think we're going to see even more. For guys like you that are, now you guys are coming to the circuit, which is a regional event, a weekend event. Is that something that's on your radar? Or are you more, hey, let's go, full on Midwest drag week type stuff?
Is that a question for me, Mike?
For you, yeah. I know Eric is going to come to one. I'm going to twist his arm, make him.
So our competitive spirit comes out, right? So we want to go to different tracks, certainly. I'm speaking on behalf of Brian here because we talk a lot about this. We have a lot of windshield time together. And so we want to go to different tracks, right? So I'm excited this East Coast Invasion concept with Midwest Drags because I've been to VMP racing shakedown, like an RVW with a crew for a car. But like to race at VMP will be cool, and some of those other tracks up the coast that I haven't been to before. So like that's exciting for me and us. And so drag week, it's the granddaddy of them all, right? And so we'll probably continue to go to that. But aside from that, like we want to go to some of these, I'll say like long format, if you will, and then some more of the regional stuff. The circuit, like Brian pinged me about it like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, interesting, and we had that whole dialogue in Messenger, and it's like we've done dumber stuff,
Yeah.
And then actually, like, it was interesting because I think that week, Brian and I spent some time. I had to run an engine down to Indiana, and then we went and picked up a turbo over on the other side of the state from Matt Lang, actually, who has that. The Blue Port Gen. He's building a new car. So he sold that Camaro to his co-driver Rob. Rob actually campaigned that car at Midwest Drags.
Mm-hmm.
They won like the street portion of the event, and then they finished, I think, runner-up in the finals of the shootout.
Yep.
And so Matt's building a new car. I won't give details because maybe he doesn't want details out there, but and so we talked a little about the circuit, and then there used to actually be a regional event in Michigan that was like a 131 to Lapeer and back in 2 days, and then you and I have talked just very briefly about sitting down and talking about it. So I think I feel like I've got some connections between Detroit area and Grand Rapids area where we can put some sponsorship together and stuff like that, and where we would potentially even look at hosting something in 24.
Yeah.
So again, just another regional event, because I think it's difficult for people to take weeks off from work.
Yep.
I'm fortunate enough to say that like my work is these events.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I have customers that come in and that's what they want. They want a street reliable 1,000-wheel horse, whatever. And so we put a package together for them that electrically works and work with, you know, obviously great people I have around this area to make it all work. So,
yep. Well, and I think a regional event for guys like Eric that maybe haven't made the time, you know, they're like, they want to do it and it's on their list of stuff, but they're just like, man, how do I talk the wife into maybe not taking a family vacation this year and letting me go do this? You know, I think once they experience the event and the camaraderie that's going to be along with that, I think we're going to, that's when we're really going to see the explosion. I think we're really going to, these regional events will be the gateway drug into Drag and Drive. And so if everybody thinks it's hard to get into a Drag and Drive event now, just wait until the end of 2023 and going into 24, when we've gone from 1,800 people like in 22 that have attempted to compete in a Drag and Drive, have been registered and all that kind of stuff, to when there's like 3,000 people that are trying to vie for those spots, and all the new people that have come in, you know.
Yep.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to see a huge bump in the community. I think we're going to see some really good promoters that host events very well, do very well with these events. And we're going to see some crap shoots too, that people are just after the money. But I think what's going to happen is those events that people are just after the money, those are going to fizzle very quickly. And you're going to end up with, you know, for us, like an entire list of regional events that are very easy for me to go to. And then obviously the big, you know, now for 23, we're going to have 7 national level events. So it's going to be wild. There's still huge swaths of the country that have no Drag and Drive events at all. You know, I mean, think about that. Like for this year, there's not a single event in Texas that I know of. There's not been events in Michigan area in a very long time.
Yeah, well, on the regional level, certainly.
Yeah.
You know, Drag Week obviously was start and end last year, which was awesome because it was only a 55-minute drive from home.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about Drag Week last year. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
I was thinking of previous. Yep. Man, I'm excited for what's coming. I'm excited for what the conversations I had at PRI too. I think we're going to see. There's a lot of people that are building Drag and Drive related cars. The Hargets just finished a Mustang that's going to be very, very, very fast. So,
yeah, and I have. You've seen some data on that customer I built. It's essentially a clone to Brian's car. It's a 68. You know, guy had been like a lifelong 990 like nitrous small block, and saw what we were doing, and
I need more info on that one, Jacob. Please message me.
And so this guy's like third weekend out, he goes 85003 or something like that, and I'm like, here's your 850 car you wanted, you know. One of these days, maybe when the stars align, I'll start putting a car together, because that's something that's on my list. But
right,
you know, Brian and I have said as we've been doing these events, it's like, if I could get my wife Ann and his girlfriend Christy like to co-drive, then like that for us is kind of like the next, I'll say, evolution of this being an event that is even more fun than it already is for us, because for us it's a guys week, you know what I mean? And so we can make it a couples week, and they both support the heck out of us while we're working and while we're gone and while we're, you know, doing everything else car related. So that'd be fun for us.
That's huge. Well, guys, what else do we need to talk about? I feel like this has been a great episode 0. Like I wanted to kind of figure out, you know, there's obviously going to be some stuff moving forward that I'll, you know, work around and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Let's wind it down a little bit. We're about an hour and a half here, and definitely keep it under 2 hours. Dude, I'm glad you jumped on. I really am. And then I can't
I
wait
just
to
happened
have
to
you.
message you, and I was like, "This looks exciting," and you're like, "Want to join?" And I was like, geez, like, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yep. Yep. So my plan is to have guests on. Typically, we would rotate through, but Eric doesn't know it yet. But he's going to be a co-host for a lot of these, and he'll
Sweet.
help. And so him being here the whole time will help a lot as well. So what else do we need to cover? What's the first event for you guys moving into 2023?
So we might be going south in February.
Fun.
It's still a bit TBD as far as registration and that kind of stuff. So we're working on some stuff there.
Cool.
It looks like it's going to be Sick Week in February, the circuit in April, Midwest Drags and Drag Week, I would assume.
Yeah.
Go toe to toe with Dustin and his dad again.
Dude, that's going to be so much fun. And I'm still working through all the videos. I took over 800 videos at Drag Week. So it's a little wild trying to get through some of the edits and naming videos and things like that so I can pull them. But my plan is to do a, Jay and Brian versus Steve and Dustin battle royale video.
You got to put Brian's name first, though. He's financially responsible for all this.
Brian and Jay. There we go. That's how we'll do it.
So, and then the other thing, too, that's like wild as heck is like, so we've ran Brian's car down like at Brown County, which is this like down in the culvert, 8th mile track in southern Indiana. And then we've done some no prep stuff like at Onondaga. We've ran at Salem Motorsports Park. We've been fairly competitive on a radial, which has been fun. And so there's some events like at Onondaga that they have street tire classes. So it has to be on a DOT radial, has to make a 30-mile cruise. And then it's like, we had people last year complaining and they're like, this car isn't street legal. And it's like, dude, Drag Week banners all over the car. Like, I'm sorry that your 5th gen Camaro just lined up against us, but we are going to straight run out of your life. And those events they pay pretty good money, and so the car, I feel like Brian, if he was on here, he'd probably like razz me about this, but like we've made 300 passes with the car. We've spun the tire on the hit like 5 times.
Wow.
And so like the car just works and it gets down. And 4 of those times were in testing, and one of them was in eliminations. So that kind of sucked because it was E1 and we were 12 hours from home. So not one of our finer moments, but so like, we're going to try and hit some of these, like, I'll say these street car, like no prep races, and try and win a little bit of money because, at the end of the day, like, we're funding this with, out of pocket,
There's sometimes where you're like, I'm not going to go out to eat this week so I can buy fuel.
Yeah. Well, again, Brian can have the discussion with you, but I mean, he's, he drives a very old 4-cylinder, like beater car to work every day so he can fund his Nova habit. And
hey,
kudos to him because it's the ultimate sacrifice.
I'm a huge proponent of that. I drove a Tercel, like we had that conversation for a long time, and I'm driving a free Trailblazer right now because I wanted to have a shop instead of a car payment. So, well, Jay, I do want to say thank you for coming on and spending time with us, man. Like, 40 minutes is awesome. I hope folks that are watching learned a bunch, and I hope you helped motivate them to. Because the biggest thing is like a lot of guys always feel like they need to drive. They need to build a car for this. They need, it needs to be their stuff. But I really feel like a co-pilot has as much duty as the driver or owner of the car to be out there and to help make that car successful.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely it's a handshake, right? To your point, like, having assigned roles and tasks or something like that. Sorry, my dog's trying to climb up here. So, just having some assigned roles because you can't do it alone, right? I shouldn't say you can't. I've seen people.
There's a lot of people that go solo, but I that's not me. I'm a people person, but
yeah, so just, getting somebody that you can trust that, either turns a wrench or doesn't turn a wrench or follows instructions really, really well. If you've got that friend that can do that,
Yeah.
um, then that's beneficial. And then if you're really trying to hunt a number, 850 or 10 or whatever it may be, like, you've got to get a car that will run under, because you can't run the thing on the ragged edge all week and expect
Yep.
to complete the week and, and then beat its guts out to go 850 or to beat its guts out and go 10-0. So,
Yep. That's exactly right. All right, dude. Well, everybody can find, your posts all the time on JWire Solutions on Facebook.
Yep.
And then Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I am. Like I cross post like through Business Suite or whatever. So
Yep.
I don't have the following there, but we've got 2,500 or so.
Awesome.
Folks, maybe 2,600 now on Facebook. And that's actually kind of funny that you invited me on here. I'm going to try and go live, I think, every couple weeks with kind of like a 30-minute or even like 15-minute at lunchtime on a Friday. Just like, what do you want to know about wiring that you don't know now, or how to base tables or something like that, just to like spice up my Fridays.
Dude, I'm in. I'll be watching that all the time. I love wiring stuff. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's funny because most people are like, I hate it. I don't want to touch it. Like, if it goes bad, I don't know how to fix it. And that's where I've developed a niche where I can help people and make a business out of it. So I appreciate you plugging the business, because I didn't really say who I was or where I was from. But
yeah, sorry, we went right into car stuff. And again, I'll tag the stuff in the comments in the description below, so that way people can find you easily and stuff like that. Awesome. You and I'll start a Facebook Messenger with my brother, because he's really leaning into wiring for 2023 with Narcoleptic, and he needs some insight on companies that he can buy from. That was what we were doing a lot of at PRI. Mm-hmm. He talked to a ton of wire companies, and obviously loom and sizing and things like that. He needs somebody he can pick brains with and things like that. So I'll make the introduction for you guys there.
Sounds perfect.
So, all right, dude, thanks a bunch. I'm going to kick you out. You don't have to leave the back room if you don't want to, but me and Eric are going to finish the show out, and then
I'll probably flip over onto my phone and watch it, and then head upstairs. So
sweet. All right, dude. Thanks again, man. I really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, nice chatting with you both.
Yeah, you too.
See you.
Yeah. See you guys.
Dude, I appreciate him coming on. That was really cool. And then look who just popped in here in the side. I haven't talked to Eric in months. I do want to say hi, and I'll holler at you later and message with him later. We talk every so often. It's just so random that I reach out to him, but he's got a great show that he puts on every week, every Tuesday night. I think 7 p.m. Central, something like that. He'll fix it. Yep. He'll tell me here lately. So dude, what do you think? Will you be a co-host? Will you come on here with me? Will you help me give these guys a good show every week?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for me, I'm going to learn a lot listening. Just in this one, it's like, okay, it's not. I'm making it out to be something bigger than what it actually is.
Right.
Like I've been saying, I just need to do it. Co-piloting is something that I've even considered doing. Yeah. If I knew somebody that was going to be on an event, just hop in. Hey, I'm good with a camera. I can turn wrenches. So. Yep. But yeah, I'll definitely be on. I'll help with the chats and help. I could even come up with some questions and stuff and help kind of guide that. But absolutely, I'm in.
Well, one thing I do want to say, you made me think of there while you were talking about co-pilot stuff. Probably the best way to become a co-pilot is to jump on the Facebook pages that are, or Facebook groups that are with these, like Drag and Drive Addiction, which a lot of folks were watching on tonight. You've got Sick the Mag, they have theirs. Rocky Mountain Race Weekers has one. All that kind of stuff. Jump on those, kind of get involved in the community, be a part of the community, and then as things come along, opportunities will present themselves as they do, because people's co-pilots are all in until about 2 weeks before, and then they're all out. Dude, that's what happens a lot. So I want to say thank you for coming on and staying all night, hanging out with me, an hour and 40 minutes here. I feel like we're just getting warmed up. This is going to be great leading forward. I will tell everyone I am going to be reaching out to a lot of folks to start scheduling stuff for the next 3 or 4 weeks, get us into the first of the year, and then it's hardcore for 2023. I have a huge goal for 2023, and the folks that are still watching this, Eric and I say it all the time. The folks that are ahead of us, you better be working every single day because we're coming. Like we're working hard. I'm going to take Drag and Drive mainstream. And what's funny is mainstream doesn't take very much for car guys. We're really such a small community within the whole drag race community that is such a small part of the entire car community that we could really change a few things and change some people's minds about these events and bring in an entirely new group of people that have never even thought about being on a drag and drive because they just trailer their car every week and all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, and not only that, just think outside of the drag and drive. I mean, you've got
yeah.
the autocross week coming up.
Yep.
You could do a drift and drive. I mean, there's,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
let
There
the
was
drag race part like get you
Yeah.
stuck. It's like if you've got a car that you enjoy doing whatever it is with it,
Yeah.
get out and drive it. That's the whole goal of these drag and drives and everything. Is just to get people in their car and get out and have fun with it again.
Yeah, I mean that's why we build it. So, all right, dude. Well, thank you so much hanging out. I'm gonna kick you out. Obviously, you don't have to leave. You can stay in the background if you want to, as long as you want to. I appreciate you hanging out here. Tell everybody again where they can find you and what's your next video coming up is.
Yep, 815 LSX Swaps, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. 815 LSX Talk Podcast. We're going to be pumping out a bunch of those coming up soon. Next video is I'm actually putting something together for the Volvo, kind of a best of all confessionals. And then speaking of wiring, my next video on the Fox body is doing more wiring, kind of catching up on the Fox body series, getting the headlights, taillights wired up, and getting the thing street legal.
Cool, dude. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm kicking you out.
All right.
See you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I know we're not quite to 2 hours, and I just want to say thank you for hanging out this entire time. It's really been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to bringing this kind of content. Have a couple beers. I'm typically a margarita guy, so maybe have a margarita or two while we're sitting here talking to folks about car stuff on Wednesday nights. That's kind of my shop night, typically with the family. So the plan is to do this every week that it is available that I can, from 7 p.m. to 8:30, 9-ish p.m., something like that. Wednesdays at Central Time. And we're going to cover Drag and Drive. This is the Drag and Drive show. We're going to talk Drag and Drive. We're going to talk to Drag and Drive racers. As things come up and news presents itself, I will bring that into this episode as well. We will still obviously have the Drag and Drive news show that drops on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. That show is 30 minutes, hard-hitting news. It has 5 segments. We're discussing all of Drag and Drive news. It is your source for news and entertainment in the Drag and Drive community. This episode, these shows are more, how do we dig deeper? How do we have a guest on that is on the Drag and Drive news on Saturday morning, then also comes on Wednesday night to maybe explain a little more. A guest that I think of all the time is John from Delta PAG. His episode or his video that I recorded was 45 minutes long and has some amazing content and information in it, but I couldn't cut down that into the Drag and Drive news episode and keep it in the segment window. So we'll have a lot of that. Like, he'll be able to come back on and dig deeper. We can have a great amount of information that comes out of these for you guys at home that are sitting here watching. I mean, guys, it's wintertime for a lot of us. There's very few parts of the country that are still racing. And everybody knows if you're not racing, you're wrenching on your car, getting it ready to go race again. So a lot of folks, I think, will probably be watching this in the shop. Hopefully Wednesday nights become a shop night for everybody and they can have this on in the background and be wrenching, getting their car ready. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done it yet, follow and subscribe to us right here, wherever you're watching this. Make sure you are keeping up with everything. So I will see you guys on Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central. No, hang on. 9 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, I'll move everything to Eastern time from now on. So we'll keep it there. And guys, thanks so much. See you soon.